Welcome back to On Air with Angie Everhart. Today we have a very, 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 very special guest who shared some magical moments with me. And first of all, let me introduce Mr. Jeff Rose. He is the explant concierge. Sorry.
Oh, we don't want to get that one wrong.
No, we don't want to get that one wrong. Explant
Yes.
concierge.
We only take them out.
And we only take them out. I'm so excited.
That's right.
So, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show, because you got to go through all the stages with me for BII. And if you would just quickly explain to people what BII is.
Well, BII stands for breast implant illness, and it was actually coined in 2013 by the biggest Facebook group, which has over 100,000 members on it now. And it's a subset of symptoms where a woman reacts to all these 40 chemicals that you learned about when we were together. The chemicals, which are in the outer shell of the implant, whether it's silicone or saline, it doesn't matter. And that outer shell is what breaks down over time. It bleeds. It doesn't have to be a rupture. And it's absorbed into the capsule, the scar tissue. So what happens is this scar tissue is like a sponge, and it omits all of these different neurotoxic chemicals and heavy metals through your body, and it puts your body into a pro-inflammatory stage, which is why you feel like you may have gained weight, you feel bloated, you have joint pain, your face looks heavier, and then other symptoms develop as well. Things like the brain fog, of course, is number one, fatigue, racing heart, anxiety, hair loss, skin rashes, hormonal imbalances, and chronic systemic dehydration, and we can go on and on and on.
On and on. Lots of joint pain, the brain fog to me was, I had told you that if I still had brain fog when I came out of this, I wasn't going to be a cheerleader. But if the brain fog went away, that I was going to be very proactive in getting women to, one, not put implants in their body, and or look at their bodies to see if they're having any of these giant symptoms, because these symptoms are massive, and they're not in the breast area. These symptoms are popping up all over the body. And I've spoken to women, a lot of women actually, since I've done this and I've come out with this. A lot of women have contacted me, and they're like, well, I don't feel sick in my boobs. I'm like, well, I didn't either. I felt sick in my head and my shoulder and my neck, and my, heart palpitations. I felt I had all these different symptoms, especially the brain fog, that were making me feel like I was crazy. Now, I know that you probably talk to more women than anybody about all of these symptoms.
Yes.
And you and Dr. Rankin over at Aqua Plastic Surgeries are my, my saviors. And D, of course.
Yes, indeed. Definitely.
And D, because what you guys are doing is changing women's lives. So the process starts with you.
Correct.
And you go and you tell everybody, you explain it. And you explain. Now, my experience with you was, because I was feeling just sick and depressed and like nobody understood me. So you go through that process with women, right?
Correct.
What is the thing that you hear the most?
Well, the first thing that I hear the most is when they sum up the symptoms, they usually will say, I feel like I'm slowly dying. I feel like I'm slowly being poisoned. And I feel like I'm 80 years old. Those are the three most common things that I hear almost on a daily basis.
Hmm.
And then they go into how it affects the quality of their life. And you know what that's like. And, I always say to women that if your symptoms are bad enough to where they're affecting things like your ability to work,
Hmm.
to exercise, to want to socialize, if they're affecting relationships in your life, and on top of it, most people don't realize that the emotional trauma from this is even greater than the physical symptoms themselves.
Yeah.
And it really is.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, it takes away the quality of your life. And it's something that what I do is give validation to it, like I did with you,
Mm.
because what I do is, you know, a lot of women, of course, have been on what I call, like you have, that medical merry-go-round, where you're going to so many doctors and getting so many tests done, and
I mean,
you're
I went
just,
to a brain specialist, an autoimmune specialist,
yep,
a gynecologist, an endocrinologist, a general practitioner, uh, a spiritual guru, therapy. Yeah, I mean, you name it. I was doing everything that I could possibly do to figure out, okay, maybe it's just coming from my head. Maybe at some point I was like getting therapy because I thought, okay, I'm going crazy. And so I didn't have an autoimmune disease and I did have cancer, which, as you know, mine went all the way up into the right side. So
sure did.
what normally would have been a 2-hour surgery in my case was an hour and a half on the right side.
Yep.
And explain to, because what everybody seems to be asking me is, aren't you deformed after? Now, I got my stance back. I keep grabbing my boobs all the time now, and it's so funny because I used to do that before, but they feel like they're in the right place.
Right. But they're natural.
They are. That's it. They're
Yes.
all me.
All
Explain
you.
explain this J hook.
Okay. Well, the J wrap is a
J wrap.
technique. J wrap, close enough. Um, the J wrap is simply part of the incision process where it makes the shape of a J. It starts on the underside of the nipple, goes down to the crease, which is the inflammatory fold, and goes slightly out to the arm, making the shape of a J. And then what Dr. Rankin does is he then takes your breast tissue
Hmm.
and he basically rolls and tucks and folds it into a shape of a small implant. And that's what enables you to not only not be deformed, but there's always four goals with it. Number one, to keep you proportionate, to with the lift to keep you perky,
Hmm.
um, and to give you some cleavage, and ultimately to give you size where it looks like you have small implants. And you were an even more difficult case because I believe this was your sixth surgery.
Yes.
So if he can do it on a difficult case like yours, then someone that had one or two surgeries, you can imagine what they come out with. And this technique is something that he patented, and it's his trademark,
Hmm.
and it's what enables him to get that great aesthetics along with the explant.
That women are asking me, how do you like your boobs? What do they look like? I'm certainly not going to lift my shirt up on and do that, but I think they look better now than they did
Yes.
previously. I really do. I think they look much better. I feel better. I can speak better. Okay, so let me tell you, for people that don't know, Jeff was actually in my recovery room when it was 4 days after the surgery. Tell that story.
Amazing. I've dealt with going on 7,000 women over the course of specializing in this. And of course, I've heard these stories on a daily basis where the brain fog goes away, but never, I mean, never did I actually witness it where I was watching you start to speak faster. And I thought, wow, you're probably getting more energy, which is
Mm-hmm.
great.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, I feel this cooling sensation. My brain fog is lifted. And I was like, oh my God, I've never actually watched it go away before like that. And it was it was, I think, an experience that will probably bond us forever. It's one of those
Absolutely.
things that we'll never forget.
Never.
And I will never forget it, to
Mm-mm.
actually witness somebody's brain fog that they probably had for what, 10 years maybe, and
At
be gone in
least
4 days. 4 days.
4 days
I mean,
after
that's
my.
amazing.
So let me explain what happened in my point of view. So Jeff was standing by the window, and it wasn't my ears that cleared, but you know, when you go to a high altitude or in a plane, your ears pop, or you switch altitudes and you have the clearing in your ears. Well, it was a similar feeling to that, but it wasn't my ears. It was in my temple, in my head. And I felt that same kind of pressure release, that, and all of a sudden it was like, and I could almost hear it. I think I did hear it, because I was like, wow, it feels like like the air conditioning just went on in my head. And it felt like a cooling system went on in my brain, which was actually oxygen, right?
Yep,
Being
correct. It was actually oxygen.
Oxygen being able to flow through areas where, no wonder I had brain fog. There was no flow of oxygen
Correct.
in my brain, like this, like I have today. And so look, I can talk fast now. I can actually talk fast now. I couldn't talk fast before.
No, you couldn't.
No, I had to actually think about, okay, let me think about the word pumpkin, okay? So I'm going to, you know that I'm thinking about the word pumpkin, but this is what I would do. Because brain fog works in a way that I can see a pumpkin, I can see it, I can taste it, I can smell it, I can carve it, but I can't remember the word. So I got to say, you know, those things that grow out of the ground that are around Halloween, that are orange. But so that's how I, ended up, even the day of my surgery, that's what I was having to do with the English language.
I remember that.
And now it's like everything's lined up in my thought process, my brain,
Right.
my sentences, and you can tell that it just makes me very excited. I get super excited, and yes, it will bond us forever, Jeff, because that was probably the most influential moment of the next part of my life, because I am going to shout this to women that aren't feeling good. If you want to feel better, look and see if you have implants in your body, because there's a vast chance that your implants are killing you like they were me.
Yes, and it was amazing to see, and it was actually your brain was suffering oxygen deprivation. That's why you knew what you wanted to say, but you couldn't get the words out.
I couldn't say it.
And I remember the first conversation we had on the telephone, and I could tell you had brain fog,
Ugh.
because there were times you were okay, and then there were times the words were broken, and you had to stop and think. And then even the morning of surgery, and then after that fourth day when we were together and I watched the brain fog lift, it was amazing. And to actually watch you for the number of days after that continue to even get better, and your excitement, and I think you were waking up every day expecting, is it still going to be here? Am I still going to be better?
I got to tell you, the very first night I was so afraid to go to sleep, because I was afraid I was going to get the brain fog back and I wouldn't be able to talk like this, and I couldn't talk like this before, and now I can do full sentences and I can speak fast. That's how I feel. Like, I'm excited. I'm excited to share my experience with other women, and I have to slow down because now I want to talk fast all the time. But for what getting this point across is that I'm a little on the angry side too. I have so many emotions when it comes to this, because, let's talk about the FDA. You were there at the FDA, and
Correct.
There was a little bit of a win. Explain that.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I was at the meeting last March, at the FDA meetings, where there was, you could say there was me and 75 women. So I had a nice entourage. So it was interesting, but this was the start of a very productive process that has now culminated in just the last few weeks, where the FDA to all the manufacturers of breast implants has strongly suggested, which is very powerful,
Mm-hmm.
that they put a black box warning on the box of breast implants.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to elaborate on what that actually means is exactly, it's
Skull and
basically,
crossbones.
yes, it's something that is very risky to put in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something you need to know. Now, it was not a demand by the manufacturers, but a strong suggestion that they put it on because of symptoms of breast implant illness and cancer and other conditions, autoimmune issues. But obviously, the manufacturers are going to fight it. It's going to be delayed a while, but just that strong suggestion alone is a win.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question. It's progress. It's a win. And just the fact that that the FDA of all people is actually saying that we're strongly suggesting that you put a black box warning, which is the kiss of death, the
Right.
kiss of death for anything. It could be a medication, but something that's put into your body. 11 million women around the world have breast implants. So think about that. 11 million women are
Wow.
going around with breast implants right now, and 330,000 last year got breast implants. So women are still putting them in,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're learning even more and more about the real risks that are involved when you make that decision, because this can really affect the quality of your life for many years to come, like it did with you.
And we're gonna have to go to a commercial. But when we come back, when we have to take a break, sorry, it's not a commercial. When we take a break, we'll be back. But we need to talk about capsulectomies, because it's an art, and it takes
Yes.
a very special doctor to be able to do that. So we'll be right back. Okay, Jeff?
Great.
When it comes to keeping my smile white, I only trust Oralgen New Pearl Advanced Teeth Whitening System for sensitive teeth. With no harsh chemicals or peroxide, New Pearl offers a unique 99% natural formula that delivers professional results previously only available from your dentist.
Save 50% now on the new Pearl 32X Teeth Whitening Kit. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. Visit oralgen.com/livewithangie to order now.
So welcome back. I'm here with the ex-plant concierge and Mr. Jeff Rose, who has a good a soft spot in my heart, because he took me step by step in all the processes of me feeling the way that I do today. And welcome back, Jeff. And
Thank you.
Dr. Rankin is one of a few surgeons across the United States that actually does this procedure, correct?
Correct. That's right.
Now,
And he's only one of maybe 5 that just explant. They don't put any implants in whatsoever. He's a true explant specialist.
because it's
Because
microsurgery, right?
he's a microsurgeon, which is very important, because I think the thing to emphasize, and as you know, I'm in surgery in many cases. I film surgeries as I did yours, and the the surgery itself is a real medical procedure. It's not like doing a cosmetic procedure, and this is why when you picture a plastic surgeon, they didn't go to school to do surgery where it's a real medical procedure. They did it to do beauty and cosmetics and aesthetics, and so
Yeah.
that's why this is a real specialty and takes a doctor like Dr. Rankin and his qualifications, skill, experience, and confidence to really be able to do this surgery on a daily basis successfully, like he did on you.
Well, I'm going to show some of my surgery so that people can see it, and I'll post all of that,
Okay.
so you can see what the actual, we'll see what we end up putting up there. I'll show you. I'll make sure you get to see it, Jeff, because I know that
All right.
that you saw it, but I haven't posted it anywhere, and I wanted people to understand that this is a serious procedure, but there are doctors out there that are saying that they're getting all of all of the capsules out, but they're not.
Correct.
And that it's still making the women are still having these symptoms.
Right.
I mean, I have a very good friend who's coming to you guys in a matter of weeks, which she's very excited about and is, you know, thrilled. And because her doctor told her that he got most of the capsule out. And does that happen a lot with doctors? Are they explant women and leave the capsules inside? Like mine?
It does, unfortunately. And actually, that's the saddest part of what I actually deal with on a daily basis and it's happening at a greater rate now for the simple reason more women are becoming aware that they're sick because of their implants. So a lot of them are not educating themselves and they're just going to any plastic surgeon that will, you know, be happy to do the surgery for them and, you know, make money off the surgery. And they don't have the skill set to do it. So
speaking of that, is because I was going to go to Dr. Chopra on the doctors, and I ended up choosing Dr. Rankin to do my surgery and coming over there. And I really believe, and as much as I love Dr. Chopra and he's qualified in his field and what he does, I don't want to talk anything bad, but I liked the full service of everything that your office did, because not only, and I think you're a big seller in this, Jeff, because you get involved with the woman who's going through it or the men, and you have a way of explaining it to men,
yes,
which I love too. You know, you can say it or you can express it now here live, or you don't have to, but you know.
Listen, you know, this is something you really can't hold anything back or pull any punches because it's too serious.
Yes.
You know, you can't really mess around with this. And you know, there's too many times I've had women in my office and they're so sick and they want to get their implants out and their husbands or boyfriends don't believe them. And I had one actually right before that you came in where she was dying and she wanted her implants out and the husband was mostly sitting there. And she just turned to him at the end and said, "You're not going to look at me the same way, are you?" And she couldn't get the surgery done because she was so worried about her relationship that she would rather suffer. And that's a horrible thing to see. Yes.
Have her call me, because my boobs look great. I mean, I'm telling you, my boobs look better. And they actually look fuller.
Yes.
And because I was concave before.
Correct.
And I'm not concave now. It looks like I had implants put in, but I didn't, and it's all me.
Yeah.
That's what.
And it's only been a month. They're going to get better.
You know, I want to do the dance all the time because I'm so happy with every aspect of it. And because, you know, I know that women, I was skeptical. I was just like all the other women. I was very skeptical because of all the doctors that I had gone to see. I thought, can it really be my boobs that's making me sick? Can it really be that simple? And I would never have done this had I not spoken to a panel of 30 women on that doctor's show and then spoken to you and had a man, which is so rare, understand what we're going through. And the only reason you do is because your wife went through it.
Correct.
And you've spoken to 7,000 women?
Almost 7,000 now, yes.
And they've all had, what, the same symptoms, basically?
Yeah, 99% of the symptoms are very similar. And that's why we know when a woman is reacting from their implants, because the profile of symptoms is almost across the board the same. And it's very much like a medication. You know, when you look at a medication where they have to give informed consent of symptoms, you know, there's common symptoms. To me, there's 4 common symptoms, and then there's less common symptoms, yet they can be pretty frequent. For instance, if somebody out there has brain fog, number 1, fatigue, number 2, if they have anxiety and racing heart, number 3, because they're sitting right above your heart and your lungs. And if they have muscle and or joint pain, number 4, welcome to the club. Most likely, it's 90% sure that's your implants that are making you sick.
I had all those. I had neck pain.
Yep.
The burning sensation in my neck, which was here, it was solid full time, and that's gone. Only if I get really stressed out will I feel any kind of pain anymore. It's gone.
Great. That's amazing.
I feel, and if you could see how excited I am when I talk about this, because I just feel like, I know a lot of women love their implants, and I'm not telling you that it's going to happen to you, but implants have a shelf life.
Right.
So eventually, if you put them in, it's going to happen. Eventually, you may outlive it or you may not, but your implants are going to react to your body. Your body's going to, let's put it the other way around. Your body's going to react to the implant, and the implant
Correct.
is going to have effects on your body. And mine happened pretty much right away. So I was one of the unfortunate ones that I had, lots of surgeries. But, I just want women to understand that if they do get implants, the risks and what to look out for if it happens, because it's not really about your breasts. It's about the rest of your body.
Right. That's correct. And that's a great point, because, it's not like, well, I'm not having any pain in my breast, so I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a systemic condition that really goes from head to toe. And like they always say, you start at the top, and that's where the brain fog comes in. And that's number one. 99% of all women that have breast implant illness have brain fog. And that's the number one symptom. And number two is fatigue. It could be from general malaise to chronic fatigue. It could be from physical fatigue to where I just can't keep my eyes open. I'm driving. I got to pull over the side of the road. I'm going to fall asleep at the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Or I come home and I just have to take a nap. And so fatigue is a major part of it. And then, as I mentioned, these heart palpitations are horrible.
I had that too.
Yes, it's a horrible thing. And then, of course, the anxiety that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, all of the joint pain that makes you feel like you're twice your age.
Mm-hmm.
And, the body itself is reacting for one simple reason. Number one, this is a foreign body. But besides being just a foreign body where your body says, why is this in me? Now, if it wasn't a foreign body, it wouldn't form the capsule, the scar tissue around it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it does is the immune system says, wait a second, there's a foreign invader inside me. I better protect myself, and it forms scar tissue. That's the purpose of scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put what I call that second nail in the coffin. Remember that list of 40 neurotoxic chemicals and heavy metals in there, lacquer, paint thinner, formaldehyde. Could you imagine that going in your body? And then we have about 40 more I could list. It's very, very disturbing.
Toxic,
disturbing, that the manufacturers do not have to reveal what they actually are putting in your body. And you wonder why so many women are getting sick. Just look at those chemicals. They call it chemical soup. And those chemicals alone, if you just sat in a small room, just picture sitting in a small room.
Oh, it makes me want to throw up.
And you had
I know what you're going to say.
You had a sponge soaking with those 40 toxic chemicals, and you just sat there indefinitely, and just the vapors alone, it would make you sick. So imagine that's inside your body.
And every time you've taken a hot shower or gone out in 90-degree weather, and I live in California, so you think about what happens to a candle if it's out in the sun. It's going to melt.
Perfect example.
And when you have implants and your body is at 98.6 degrees.
Correct.
So it's already cooking every day.
Yep.
And then if that raises, then it's even hotter. So I just, I'm really thankful that people like you exist that can help women. And you guys also have aftercare that, that I have, that I was just flabbergasted by how good you guys and your whole clinic, everything from the minute that I started speaking to you to coming there, seeing the staff that work and the nurses that work with Dr. Rankin himself, and how kind and attentive, and met me outside and checked on me and was very attentive through the whole process. And then afterwards with D Hicks was, you hired her off of that Facebook group, right?
Yes, correct.
And now she's really great aftercare for you and for Aqua. And, I just fell in love with that woman. And it's important because that's a whole part of plastic surgery and a whole part of surgery that a lot of places don't offer or, have, because I don't know. It was just, I had a great experience, and I feel so much better, and it's getting better on a daily basis.
Yes. And it will. It will continue to get better. Over the course of the first 3 or 4 months, not only will you continue to improve as far as your symptoms are concerned, but there's a fluffing period for the breasts. So as happy as you are now, they're going to get even better. They're going to really take shape. So they will improve even more. Yes.
Well, I hope to have you on because I know that you're an expert. You are an expert on breast implant illness, BII, but you're also, I would say an expert in the field about staying younger and keeping fit. And there's a lot of things that you and I have talked about that
Yes.
that I'd love to partner up on and get you involved and speaking with women and letting everybody know you're the secret sauce that you have. So is there anything that I'm missing here?
Actually, as I'm looking at you from when we first met, and I also call this, like you mentioned, anti-aging. This is also one of the most amazing anti-aging surgeries because you've seen the pictures of women before when they're sick, and then even a week or two after as they get better. I'm looking at you right now, and your skin looks more dewy. It's got moisture. You don't have that inflammation anymore.
Right.
You have that Angie Everhart face again, and you look like you again, and you don't look sick, and you
feel sick.
Younger. You actually look younger. You look brighter, more awake, happier.
I can say my mood has elevated. It like doubled. It's almost like I feel like I'm taking an antidepressant, but I'm not. That I feel like I'm just happy all the time now. And that's what I used to be, happy all the time. And when I say I got my life back, I look in the mirror. I went home and I introduced myself to my son. I said, "Hi, I'm Angie, your mom," because I felt like the first part of his life was like sick Angie, and I don't feel like that anymore. And I have, I just want to help. I'm paying this forward. And you're a big part of it, Jeff, so I hope you help me pay this forward. I know you're doing your part over there. Say, what is your social and how do people reach you?
Well, they can reach me, directly. They can go to the Aqua Plastic Surgery site. They can contact me.
Tell them Angie sent you.
I sure will. It seems like half the world has my cell phone number, so they can contact me on my cell phone. My phone rings all day long. And, they can go to my Explant Concierge page on my Instagram. They can go to my Jeff Rose Facebook page, which years ago women hijacked it and turned it into a support group. It's all about explanting and breast implant illness. I do Facebook Lives on there. to educate and bring awareness like you do. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're the real hero, because so many women, you know, they, of course, go into this, they feel better, and they just move on with their life. But you said it from the first time we spoke: if I get better, I'm going to make a big difference in helping women. And you follow through on that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, you're my hero,
Mm-hmm.
because you're one that's giving back and trying to change lives, and you're making a difference already.
Well, I had a woman who actually wrote me that she was going to get implants like the following week. And because of what I posted on Facebook, she canceled her surgery.
Wow.
And wrote to me and told me that. And I was like, see, that's what I want to hear. And I said, if I can help one woman, I'm paying it forward. But if I can help 300,000 women, I'm really paying it forward. If
Amazing.
I can help, if I can help a whole century of women to have them not get the implants and be educated as to what they're putting in, and or figure out a way to have these breast implant companies find an alternative that isn't so toxic and harmful, because women are always going to want to have this.
Sure.
But there has to be some sort of solution down the road that maybe somebody could invent a healthy breast implant.
Right.
Because that one certainly is not. And I don't know if there is such a thing as any kind of healthy implant anything. But
well, certainly healthier than putting 40 toxic chemicals into your body. That's a start anyway. I mean, right now there's fat grafting, but that's about it. I mean, it does, work in most cases. Sometimes your body will absorb a certain percentage of it. But certainly, I think the nice thing now is that it's acceptable to look natural and to be natural and to feel good about your body, and not just, have to be looking like, the old days when I worked in LA, when women would come in with a picture of Pamela Anderson. This is how I want to look. Small waist, big breasts, big lips. I mean, that look is out now.
It is
Nobody
out.
wants to look like that. And
I mean, Pam is gorgeous, but Pam also had a lot of issues.
Yes,
Pam has had
absolutely.
a lot of issues with her implants.
Yes.
So I think even Kim Kardashian has just come out and said that she's having problems with her implants. I mean,
Right.
all these girls that have these massive implants, because that's massive amounts of silicone, even if there's a
Correct.
saline. I keep saying it to women, because they're like, no, mine was saline. I'm like, yeah, but it's made of silicone. And a lot of women don't want to believe it, but I'm a believer. Okay. I'm a believer. I feel great. And, thank you for giving me my life back and being a part of my show. And I know that we're going to be talking again and again and again and
Yes,
again
we
and
are.
again and
We
again.
are. We are definitely going to do some things together. I always told you I had something about redheads is going to make a difference.
Well, Mr. Rose and Madame Everhart here,
Yep. Red.
We are going to seriously make a difference in women's lives for the better. So
Yes,
thank you for what you do. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving back.
Okay.
Thank you for having me on.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.